I am not a financial advisor, and this is just practical guidance. Viewer discretion is advised. If your bank account is looking at you like, come on, man, again, then this video is for you. Welcome back to CWM University, where we learn together, and today we're going to talk about how to make a budget, how to stick to the budget, and how to start getting out of debt. And listen, this is not a video where someone's making $1 million and is telling you to stop buying coffee every day as if that's gonna solve your problems. We're talking real life, real stress, real bills, but real discipline. Because most of us are one unexpected expense from having a mental breakdown on aisle 5 in the grocery store. Now, before we even touch on a budget sheet, there's one thing that we must do. We have to set the destination for our financial map. We have to know where we're headed and why we're headed in that direction. A lot of us know how to pass tests, graduate, then graduate again, then graduate again. We have multiple degrees, and we know how to write a mean essay without ChatGPT. But nobody took the time to tell us how a credit card works. Nobody taught us how interest works. And nobody taught us how to stay out of debt. And for some of us, we didn't grow up with generational wealth. We grew up seeing survival. We didn't know it at the time, but that's what was shown to us. So sometimes we develop habits just to help us survive. But those same habits won't help us build wealth. And that's why budgeting matters. And I'm so serious about budgeting that when I was teaching, I taught my students how to budget. And yes, they were 10 and 11, but I thought it was a skill to introduce them to. Because when I was in school, nobody talked about a budget or how to handle money. That wasn't even a topic discussed in school, as if it wasn't important. So let's talk about the budget sheet that I gave my students, and I'm gonna pop it up on the screen so we can look at it together. So my students had to pick a job. They had to pick what type of job they wanted to have, look up the salary, take that salary, and then budget the money of what they would have. So say we had a salary of $120,000, they would just divide that by 12, and that'll be roughly how much they made per month. Granted, I didn't make them take out benefits for health or taxes. I just wanted to get them a rough idea of how to budget their money. So as you can see, once they picked that type of job, they had to automatically, I said, you got to save your money. You got to save some money for a rainy day. So I told them to put in 10%. And then they had to decide what type of house they wanted to live in and what was the rent for the house. So they had to find out the rent, their possible utilities. If they wanted a car, what would the car payment be? So I would tell them, like, go ahead and find the amount of your car. We're going to divide that by 60 months. So I gave them like a 5-year range to pay off their car if they was going to have a car note. They had to budget for car insurance. So a lot of this stuff, the students were just Googling to find an estimated amount for these things. And then, of course, they had to set aside enough money for gas, food, and clothing. And it was funny because a lot of them started asking me, do I have a family? Like, do I have to pay for kids and my wife or my husband? Do I have a dog? And I was like, y'all, it's up to you. When you get grown, where do you see yourself? Do you see yourself with a family? Do you see yourself living by yourself? You choose. And so that was a funny experience because then they started saying, well, some of them wanted families. By the end time they got done budget, they said, you know what? I don't want kids or a wife. It's too expensive. But a lot of times, kids do not think about those things because they're being kids, and as they should be kids. But I personally believe that they should have some type of idea what it costs to live. Hiding these things from your child only makes it worse when they become an adult because they think, oh, I want to be grown. I want to be grown so bad. But they don't know what entails of being grown. All they know is my parents get to do what they want to. Nobody tells them what to do. And they buy what they want to when they want to. And that's all they see. They don't know about all the bills you have to pay. Because if I knew about the bills that you have to pay as an adult, you think I couldn't wait until I got grown? No. Because who's trying to pay some bills? But I was not aware that this was going on. I knew we had bills in the house and they got paid, but I never knew how much they cost, how much it took out of a paycheck. I didn't know those type of things. And what was so interesting about this project, some of the kids, when they got down to pets, it's like, oh, I don't want a dog. That's too expensive. I got to feed the dog too. You'll see that some kids will spend all their money. whatever they had budget. If they had $2,500 for the month, oh, all their money was gone. And then some of the kids was like, you know what? I think I want to put more in my savings just in case something happens. It's interesting to see how their mind works at 10 and 11 when given the opportunity to use their mind and think through some things. Because kids are way smarter than people give them credit for. Way smarter. So after they went through their whole budget, then at the end, they had to answer questions. How much money do they have left each month? What would they do with this money if they had money left over? And if they didn't have any money left over, why? And a lot of them like, I spent it all. I got 3 kids. Or I wanted to buy a PlayStation. Or I wanted to buy the newest game every month. So it's very interesting just to see what they thought was important or why they would save or not save extra money. And then the last question was what they learned in this project when they become an adult. Just to get their minds thinking and knowing that, hey, when I get a job, there are expenses that I will be responsible for. My parents are not going to pay that. I'm going to be grown, and I might even have my own family that I'm responsible for. So I need to be conscious about how I'm spending my money. But seriously, if students can learn how to budget money, 10 and 11-year-olds can learn how to budget money. Imagine what we could do with our finances when we become intentional adults and being intentional on how we use our finances. Budgets are needed. But before we can budget the money, we have to know why we're going to a budget, why we're going to be using it, and how that is going to help us with our goals. So what are our goals? We need at least 3 financial goals. What are we trying to do with this money that we're saving? And how are we going to use that to build wealth? Or just get out of debt, whatever that goal is. So what are some of our goals that we might have? Maybe we want to get out of debt. We could want to grow our savings. Maybe we want to travel, buy a house, or just start investing our money to let it grow for us. So the budget that we set needs a purpose. We need a destination. We need to know what are we going to do to get where we're going. Because a budget without purpose is just a depressing list of bills. And who wants to see that all the time? But at some point while I was teaching, I figured that I don't want to be in debt. I don't like debt. Debt started making me anxious. And I didn't like that feeling. Because I'm working hard, making the money that I was making, but I'm not seeing it. I can't move like I want to move. So I decided to make a budget. Now my budget when I first started was just a poster, and I'm going to pop it up on the screen. Just a poster, and I knew what I wanted to pay down and what I was saving for. Now I will show y'all the actual numbers that were on my poster, but some of y'all nosy like me, and you probably pause the video and try to scroll in to see what I had going on. So we're going to block those numbers out. But every month, I would track my progress. I want to watch my car loan go down. I want to watch my student loans go down. And I want to watch my savings go up. And at that time, I was also planning to go out the country. And so I wanted to save for a trip. So that was on the poster as well. Because I wanted to see how much money I was putting toward that trip and paying that trip off. So I wasn't just setting it on my credit card and letting it build up on interest. And yes, I was in debt. And yes, I was saving to go out the country. I had a passport. It was getting a little dusty over there. And I wanted to use it. So that was something that was important to me. As I knew what my goal was when I set this budget, I knew my destination, but I also knew some things I wanted for myself. My goal was to pay off my car, pay off my student loans, save money, and go out the country. When I set my goal for my budget, I knew that was my end destinations. So yes, you could absolutely set a budget and have multiple goals at the same time. The key to that is just being intentional about how you're moving. And for me, I'm a visual learner. So seeing that poster and able to go up there, I would scratch it out every month, put the new total that I was paying off. Scratch it off, put the new total. If I added extra to my car note, I would make sure that I looked at my car note on my app, crossed out, put the new total. I am a visual learner, so I had to see that for myself so that I knew that I was making progress. That was my motivation to be like, okay, girl, you're doing your thing. And so I had to see that. What type of learner are you? What makes you motivated? Do you like to cross off lists? Do you like to just make a note page in your phone and cross it out that way, or just update it? You have to figure out what works for you, what's going to keep you motivated. Do you need to put up a poster like I did? Do you need to use sticky notes? What do you need to do to make sure that you have your goal in front of you every month and then edit it to show your progress. So you can be simple like me. Just go get you a poster from Dollar Tree. You know they're not $1 no more, but you can go get you a poster from Dollar Tree and write it out. Make you some type of tracker. But you need to know what your destination is. Make your goals, set them out, and then you need to look at it. Be intentional about it. Know where you're going and know how you're going to get there. But you need to see that you're making progress. Just whatever you do, make your goals visible. Go. Just like if you had goals in the gym, you may take a picture in January, then take another picture in February, then another picture in March. You're trying to see if you're making progress. So your finances work the same way. I need to capture my finances in January, February, March. I need to see the progression because I know what my end destination is. Now let's talk about something that a lot of people don't discuss when it comes to money. It's your mindset. It's I gotta get my mind right before I do this. Because budgeting isn't all about numbers. It's about discipline, consistency, and choosing your future self over temporary feelings. Let's get into those temporary feelings. Right now I'm having a bad day. Let me go buy something off a TikTok shop. Do I need it? No. But is it gonna make me feel better about my bad day? Probably right then in that moment. But my future self is going to be mad. Guaranteed. Especially when I have goals and I know what my destination is. And we also have to listen to what we're telling ourselves. Because what we believe about ourselves, about our situation, reflects in our actions. So for example, a lot of people get off work and like, I'm tired. I don't want to do nothing. I just want to sit on this couch, turn this TV on, and watch whatever I want to watch. Which you have every right to do so. But here's the problem. We come home, we turn that TV on, and end up watching TV for 5 hours. We sit on that couch, it was 4:30. We look up, it's 9:30. Where the time go? Then we like, let me get 30 minutes on social media. We get the scrolling, hop from app to app. Next thing you know, it's 11:30. And then it's time to go to sleep because I got to work in the morning. And the problem is, we go to sleep. And then tomorrow when we get back from work, we end up doing the same thing over and over. And sitting on the couch and watching TV and scrolling social media is not going to help us get to our goals. We tired, but we're not that tired to keep our eyes open to watch that TV or to scroll on our phone. So are we really tired, or are we just telling ourselves we're tired to give us an excuse to sit on our couch and do nothing? What is it? And trust me, I know what you're going to say, I am tired, I need to get some rest. Rest is important, yes. But from 4:30 to 11:30, that's a lot of rest. And are you resting, or are you just escaping your reality, which a lot of times that we use our TVs for or our phones for, to escape the reality of what we know is really going on in our lives and what we can actually control and fix. Budgeting money is important, but budgeting your time is equally as important. Neck and neck. What could I do differently with my time when I got off work if I'm trying to pay off bills or save money? What are some skills I could use that could be making me money when I get off work? Maybe Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays, I get home, I can watch TV. But Tuesdays and Thursdays, I hit the ground running, doing whatever I can to help me save money or pay off these bills. Whether that's buying groceries, delivering at somebody's house, working on that crochet project that you know people want to buy. Because they always tell you when they see you on social media with it, I would love to buy that. How could I be using my time better when I get off work? Because your body accepts what your mind says. If my mind tells my body, I'm tired today, we're not going to work out, guess what? We're not working out. If I tell myself today, we're working out, no matter what, like body, get yourself together, this is what we're going to do. What ends up happening, I end up working out. I have to tell my body, my spirit, my soul, what we're going to do for that day and why we're going to do it. If I constantly tell myself, I'm tired, I don't want to work out, I'll start it next month, then what's going to happen? Eventually, my actions are going to follow that mindset. So the same thing with my budget or saving money. I can't tell myself, I'll start saving next month. I need this money to buy these clothes for this event I'm going to the weekend when I have 5,000 outfits in my closet. I have to change my mindset so then the rest of me follows that mindset. I tell myself what to do. And if I have a goal, I'm telling myself we're going to reach that goal no matter what. So what things do I have to put in place to get to my destination? When I started budgeting my money and I knew that I want to pay off my car, pay off my student loans, increase my savings, save for that trip, I had to tell myself a lot of no's. And I had to start doing stuff I didn't want to do. I would go to work, go to my second job, go work out, come home, go to sleep, repeat it all again. Because I knew I had goals that I liked it in my life. The structure was nice, but there was plenty of things I wanted to do. I probably wanted to chill, come home, turn the TV on, and get lost for 5 hours. But I knew my destination, and I knew I could not do that. So I would tell myself when days got hard, you can do this. You can do hard things. And I would constantly tell myself that to stay motivated. And me seeing that poster on my wall and crossing out those amounts and seeing it go down or see my savings go up, I was like, oh yeah, we're doing it. We're doing it. I had to change the way I was living my life and how I saw my money. Because I had the money, but I had to use it wisely. I had to be intentional and speak over myself. Encourage myself. So if you're serious about changing your financial situation, you have to become intentional with your time, your habits, and your energy. Say yes to your goals and no to anything that distracts you from your goals. You have to say no. No has to be part of your vocabulary. So before we start our budgeting, we have to have our goals. We have to know our end destination. And we have to know the exact amount of money we're working with, okay? Not the money before taxes. Not the money before they take out your insurance. We need to know the real amount that hits your account. And if you don't know that number, log into that app and find out what it is. Don't like, oh, I know I make $2,600 at my job, but have you accounted for your taxes? Everything that you got to pay, Social Security, Medicaid, whatever that comes out your check, plus your insurance. And if you're a teacher, the amount they make you pay into retirement that you have no choice about. What is that number after all those things are taken out your check and it hits your account? You have to know that number. Because some people like to budget off of these fantasy numbers. Like, oh, I make $2,600. Does $2,600 hit your account? Or that's just what it says that you make starting before they take everything out. We have to budget off of our net income. So if somebody makes $1,500 after taxes, $1,500 is their net income, and we're going to budget off that number. So before we start making our budget and what we're going to do, we need to have our goal and our end destination in mind. What are we trying to pay off? What are we trying to save up for? And then we need to know the money that hits the account. That net income. We need to know what our net income is. And then we can start getting serious about how we're going to budget our money and how we're going to reach those goals we set for ourselves. To wrap all this up, today we talked about why budgeting matters, setting goals, fixing our mindset, and knowing your real income, which is your net income. And in part 2, we're going to get into the real strategy. I'm going to show you how to exactly break down your paycheck, how to attack your debt, how to save some of that money, and how to stop sabotaging your financial progress. Because making a budget is one thing, but sticking to that is a whole nother thing. Before you watch part 2, there's something I want you to do. Before you watch part 2, there's something I want you to do. Write down 3 financial goals. And yes, actually write them down. Not in your head. Write them down. Write them on a piece of paper. Write them in your notes app. Have them written down in 2 words. And then we'll use those 3 financial goals in part 2. And if you made it this far, put in the comments what makes budgeting so hard for you. Put it in the comments. And I'll see you in part 2.